وإذا النفوس زوجت وإذا الموءودة سئلت بأي ذنب قتلت وإذا الصحف نشرت وإذا السماء كشطت وإذا الجحيم سعرت وإذا الجنة أزلفت علمت نفس ما أحضرت فلا أقسم بالخنس الجوار الكنس والليل إذا عسعس والصبح إذا تنفس إنه لقول رسول كريم ذي قوة عند ذي العرش مكين مطاع ثم أمين وما صاحبكم بمجنون ولقد رآه بالأفق المبين وما هو على الغيب بضنين وما هو بقول شيطان رجيم فأين تذهبون إن هو إلا ذكر للعالمين لمن شاء منكم أن يستقيم وما تشاءون إلا أن يشاء الله رب العالمين صدق الله العلي العظيم صلى
از خواهرها تقاضا میکنیم که آرامش حفظ بکنن. فعلا در لست خود سستر مریم، سستر سارا احمد. Sister Sarah Ahmad, if you're here. She's not here. And also last one I have Benjamin. Benjamin. Benjamin is not here. بازم به نوبه خود و همچنان از طرف تمام حضار در گذشت مرحومه مغفوره مارینا جوانشیر فیضی را به فامیل جوانشیر و فامیل فیضی تسلیت عرض می کنم و همچنان از طرف صاحب اعضا و از طرف فامیلی مرحوم از تمام شما تشکری می نماییم. امیدوار هستم همه شما برای مرحومه دعا کنین و جنت نصیب ایشان بگرداند. از آقا صاحب سید مجتبی تقاضا می کنیم که ختمانه را بخوانند.
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. يا أيتها النفس المطمئنة ارجعي إلى ربك راضية مرضية فادخلي في عبادي وادخلي جنتي. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. يا أيتها النفس المطمئنة ارجعي إلى ربك راضية مرضية فادخلي في عبادي فادخلي في عبادي وادخلي جنتي. الله أكبر الله أكبر ولله الحمد. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. قل هو الله أحد الله الصمد لم يلد ولم يولد ولم يكن له كفوا أحد. كذلك الله ربنا. الله أكبر ولله الحمد. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. قل هو الله أحد الله الصمد لم يلد ولم يولد ولم يكن له كفوا أحد. كذلك الله ربنا الله أكبر ولله الحمد بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم قل هو الله أحد الله الصمد لم يلد ولم يولد ولم يكن له كفوا أحد كذلك الله ربنا بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم قل أعوذ برب الفلق من شر ما خلق ومن شر غاسق إذا وقب ومن شر النفاثات في العقد ومن شر حاسد إذا حسد الله أكبر لا ولله الحمد بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم قل أعوذ برب الناس ملك الناس إله الناس من شر الوسواس الخناس الذي يوسوس في صدور الناس من الجنة والناس الله أكبر بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم ألف لام ميم ذلك الكتاب لا ريب فيه هدى للمتقين الذين يؤمنون بالغيب ويقيمون الصلاة ومما رزقناهم ينفقون والذين يؤمنون بما أنزل إليك وما أنزل من قبلك وبالآخرة هم يوقنون أولئك على هدى من ربهم وأولئك هم المفلحون صدق الله العلي العظيم وصدق النبي الأمين الكريم ونحن على ذلك من الشاهدين والشاكرين والحمد لله رب العالمين. ربنا تقبل منا إنك أنت السميع العليم واهدنا إلى الحق وإلى طريق المستقيم ببركة ختم القرآن العظيم. البته چند دانه قرآن ختم شده قبلا در افغانستان، یکی که از طرف حاجی صاحب جوانشیر، یکی از طرف دختر کاکایش است. دو تا قرآن که من خبر دارم انشالله ختم شده، مقصد مال ختمش خواندیم دیگه. به برکت ختم القرآن العظیم واعف عنا یا کریم واغفر لنا ذنوبنا بفضلك وجودك وكرمك يا أكرم الأكرمين ويا أرحم الراحمين. اللهم نور قلوبنا بالقرآن وزين أخلاقنا بالقرآن ونجنا من النار بالقرآن وادخلنا في الجنة بالقرآن. اللهم عجل في فرج مولانا صاحب العصر والزمان بالقرآن. اللهم اشف مرضانا بالقرآن وارحم موتانا بالقرآن وسلم مسافريننا بالقرآن. اللهم اجعل القرآن لنا في الدنيا قرينا وفي القبر مونسا وأنيسا وفي القيامة شافعا وشفيعا وإلى الخيرات كلها دليلا. اللهم افتح لنا بالخير واختم لنا بالخير واجعل عواقب أمورنا وأمور المؤمنين الحاضرين خيرا بحق سورة المباركة الفاتحة مع الإخلاص والصلوات. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد وعجل فرجهم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الله أحد الله الصمد لم يلد ولم يولد ولم يكن له كفوا أحد. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الله أحد الله الصمد لم يلد ولم يولد. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. برای شفای مریض ها و عاقبت به خیری و سلامتی و قبولی اعمال نیک، دفع و رفع بلیات و بخشیده شدن اموات، برآورده شدن حاجات ما و شما و جمیع مؤمنین و مؤمنات، فرج و ظهور آقای امام زمان، بلند صلوات. اللهم صل علی محمد و آل محمد و عجل فرجهم. و از شما دوستانم تشکر میکنیم که آمدین تشریف آوردین. انشالله که این رایست که کل ما میریم انا لله و انا الیه راجعون. بازم تسلیت عرض میکنیم برای خانواده نزدیکش، برای عمویشان، دخترای کاکاش. انشالله خداوند صبر بده برای همشان. بازم صلوات.
انشالله ثوابی آیه های قرآن که تلاوت شد برای آن مرحوم برسد. قبل از اینکه جناب شیخ تشریف بیارن یک اعلان مختصر داریم. قسمی که بار بار تکرار شده اعلان هفته آینده بخیر که 9 سپتامبر مدرسه یا مستردی اسکول آغاز میشه. فامیلایی که اطفال بین 5 الی 15 سال دارن ازشون تقاضا میکنیم که اطفال خود راجستر بکنن. توقع داریم امسال اطفال زیادتر اشتراک بکنن چون همینجا یگان چانسی است که میتونن علوم اسلامی را فرا بگیرن در پولی ازی که فامیلا برایشون کمک میکند و همچنین کسایی که تقاضا دارن که بیاین و همکاری بکنن درس بدن میتونن با برادر ما رضا جوانشیر به تماس شوند و اگر اطفالتان هم راجستر میکنین از طرف برادران میتونن با آقای رضا جوانشیر و از خواهران میتونن با سستر وفا احمد و یا سستر فاطمه مختار به تماس شوند. Brother and sister, as we all know, Saturday school will start next week. We have just 1 week for the registration. It will start September 9, the Saturday of the September 9. If you have kids from 5 to 15, please register them. And from the brother side, please contact Raza Jawansher. And from the ladies side, please contact Sister Wafa Ahmad or Sister Fatima Mukhtar. و حالا از جناب حجت الاسلام سید جواد وحیدی سید جاوید وحیدی تقاضا می نماییم تا با سخنان عالمانه ایشان مجلس ما را رونق باشد.
For the hastening of the reappearance of our Master Imam al-Mahdi Ajjalallah Ta'ala Farju Sharif, recite a loud salawat please. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين بعدد ما أحاط به علمه وصلى الله على سيدنا ونبينا وحبيب قلوبنا وطبيب نفوسنا وشفيع ذنوبنا أبي القاسم المصطفى محمد صلوات الله وسلامه عليه وعلى أهل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين المعصومين المنتجبين سيما بقية الله في العالمين روحي وأرواح العالمين لتراب مقدمه الفداه رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقه قولي. Before I begin my lecture for tonight, I'm just going to say a few words perhaps in Farsi for the most and a little bit in English. اولا خیلی لذت بردم از تلاوت زیبای جوان عزیز که من اسم ایشون رو متوجه نشدم. آقا مهدی عزیز خیلی تلاوت زیبا ماشاءالله قوی و همچنین برادر عزیزمون بعد از ایشون این قرائت قرآن با این کیفیت نعمتیه در کشوری مثل امریکا و او خانواده هایی که شاید تازه تر آمدن. من فقط به عنوان یک برادری که حالا چند سال اینجا هستم با کسایی که بیشتر هستن اینجا حتما تایید میکنن زندگی در آمریکا زندگی خیلی سریعی است. زمانی که در آمریکا انسان احساس میکنه خیلی سریعتر از او زمانی که فرض در کابل یا در ایران یا در پاکستان انسان احساس میکنه و در این حال او کسانی که معمولا از کشورهای اسلامی وارد امریکا میشن، اینا فکر میکنن اگر بچه های خودونو در مدرسه بانن یا شامل کنن یک مدرسه یا های سکولی، تصور عمومی ماهایی است که خب اونا معلمای او درس میته دیگه، هم ادب برش یاد میته، هم درس برش یاد میته، هم موفق میشه. ولی واقعیتش این رقم نیست. و اگر ما تلاش نکنیم خودمان که حتما بچه ها را ساندی سکول، ساتردی سکول یا مسجد بیاریم یا از همه راه ها باید استفاده کرد تا تعالیم اسلامی و اخلاق اسلامی و اعتقادات اسلامی رو به بچه ها ما آموزش بدیم و آرام آرام اینا او احساس نزدیکی که به زبان انگلیسی میکنن و به زبان فارسی نمیکنن. ممکنه متوجه شون، زبان فارسی رو گپ میزنن خود شما متوجه میشن، ولی وقتی کسی با زبان انگلیسی با اینا صحبت میکنه میتونه بیشتر گوش بده. They say they relate to, right? فلذا وقتی دوستان زحمت میکشن اینجا، خب همه امی معلما، امی مدیرای مدارسی، ساتردی سکول، ساندی سکول، کسایی که امی والنتیر هستن، اینا هم کار دارن، اینا هم زندگی دارن، اینا هم خانواده دارن، اینا هم فرزند دارن. ولی خب خدا حفظشان کنه، انشاءالله خدا از اینا قبول بکنه، خالصانه انشاءالله میان و ایثار میکنن وقت خودشون رو. همون روزی که میتونستن برن پارک، میتونستن برن کباب بخورن در پارک ها، میان با بچه ها. سختم هست، واقعا سختم هست. فلذا من حقیقتا ایره به عنوان یک برادر دلسوز از من بپذیرید که هیچ بهانه ای نیست. من میفهمم من کار دارم، من فلان، هیچ بهانه ای، چون 10 سال بعد وقتی بچه ها کلان شود دیگه هیچ کدوم از بهانه ها برای ما قانع کننده نیست. به عنوان پدر میگم من کاش که یک کاری میکردم. زیاد میان پیش ما دیگه، ما خب یک منصبی که هستی که مردم میاین دیگه، مشکلاتی که دارن و بعضیا دیر متوجه میشن ایره. کسایی که دیر متوجه میشن، بچه خب 20 سالش شد، 18 سالش شد، 16 سالش شد، هدایت دست خداست، ولی خیلی سخته که او بچه رو بشه آدم اصلاح بکنه. ولی همین بیاین دوستای مسلمان پیدا کنن، یک چیزی یاد بگیرن، بیشتر از اینکه یاد بگیرن همین فضای اسلامی را اینجا تجربه بکنن، خب طبیعتا انشاءالله حتما شما هم نفع میبرید در آینده و همچنین فرزندانش. خدا انشاءالله به شما توفیق عنایت بکنه انشاءالله و همه ما را و مخصوصا نسل جدید، نسل آینده ما را از محبین و پیروان واقعی امام زمانم انشاءالله عجل الله تعالی وجهه شریف قرار بدهد انشاءالله. بر محمد و آل محمد صلوات خلق بفرمایید. So there is something here in this era, in this modern world, that even if you have everything, but there is something that human being cannot find it seems. We used to think, and I'm going to talk about contentment today, satisfaction, and we're going to talk about this. And more specifically, the idea of fulfillment, being fulfilled with what you do, with what you have. Before, we used to think that if a society flourishes, if a society becomes very wealthy and prosperous, as we used to understand prosperity and what is prosperity, we used to think that human being automatically becomes happier, automatically becomes more content, automatically becomes more satisfied with what they have, automatically they become more fulfilled. They have the sense of fulfillment. Therefore, they will enjoy their lives more. That was our thought, especially back home. When back home, the Maulana or the Sheikh would talk from Mimbar on qana'ah and contentment, people mostly would think that if I have money, if our society is rich and wealthy, we will have contentment automatically. What's wrong with us? If I have wealth and money and I'm rich, I should have this sense of fulfillment, this sense of rida, this sense of qana'ah and contentment. That was our thought. But as we see today's problems on mental health, and those countries, they actually have the most, they struggle with this. Even if you go to the upper town, and when you talk to those people, there are people, they have everything that they were looking before, and they have things that perhaps in our mind thinking that perhaps they don't have any desire anymore. But when you talk to them, yes, they have money. Yes, there is entertainment in their lives. Money brings entertainment. Have you heard that money doesn't bring happiness? Right? Money doesn't bring happiness. Money sometimes brings happiness. Let's be serious and real, right? If you drive a Ferrari, you'll be happier than when you drive a random car, right? So money can bring happiness sometime, but what doesn't bring money? What money doesn't bring, I should say. What is it that money cannot bring? It's the sense of fulfillment. It's that sense of contentment. Entertainment and excitement doesn't bring always happiness, that happiness that lasts long. But when you're happy with what you have, whatever you have, you could have $1 million, you could have $100,000, you could have $1,000, and you could have $100. As long as you're happy with what you have, you're content. You're content. And I want to address a misconception. When we talk about contentment, there are people, they think that in order for me to be content and practice contentment and satisfaction with what I have, I shouldn't have desires. I shouldn't have goals. I shouldn't pursue my goals and objectives. I just be happy with what I have. Why should I bother myself to get more out of my life? But when you look at the Quran and the teaching of the Quran, Quran is encouraging believers, including Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, that recite us also. And this is for my younger audience. He's the messenger of God, and he's a very hard-working man. In Surah Ash-Sharh, perhaps some of you even memorized it. When Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is addressing His messenger, His last messenger, in one ayah He says, فَإِذَا فَرَغْتَ what? فَانْصَبْ. When you're done with the previous task, get busy with something else. Don't be lazy. Don't be lazy. And we're going to talk about this today and tonight. That what is the opposite of contentment then? The opposite of contentment is what? Is greed, right? Hirs, as we say. This guy is haris, is greedy. Look at the way Amirul Mu'mineen attributed to Amirul Mu'mineen this hadith, this tradition attributed to him. Look how beautifully he is defining greed. Just ponder and reflect on this tradition. Amirul Mu'mineen Ali ibn Abi Talib alayhi salatu wasalam says, they came to him with this question, what is greed? What is hirs? Amirul Mu'mineen responded, he said, هو طلب القليل بإضاعة الكثير. Greed is where you seek little and very few, and in return you lose a lot. So if there is a case as a believer, right? As a believer, that if I seek an endeavor, and if I seek something from this world, that there is a danger for me to lose my akhirah. If I pursue that, Amirul Mu'mineen alayhi salatu wasalam is saying that this is hirs, even if it is a lot of money. Why? Because no matter how much money and wealth that endeavor and that task is going to bring to you and for you, when you compare it as a good and rational businessman, believer, when you compare it to what you're going to get in the akhirah, it's nothing. So sometimes I want to seek something, and in return I'm going to lose something greater. If I try to seek this, if I try to achieve this, this is hirs, Amirul Mu'mineen is saying. It's a beautiful thing to just remember this. This is the way in which we can calculate what is greed. Because we have to avoid that. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala doesn't like this attitude, this behavior, this tendency. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala doesn't like this because He knows the danger of it. What is the danger? The danger could be, perhaps the worst is getting into prison, right? You do whatever it takes to pursue that because you know there's greed there. But even if someone doesn't get to that extreme and severe punishment in this dunya, in this world, the life itself would be disaster for that person. Because a greedy individual will always run around this vicious, endless cycle of pursuing these desires. Because it never ends. If you ask a greedy individual that when you'll be content, he doesn't know that, she doesn't know that. I don't know. Because that's the greed. That is something that you cannot fulfill that. It's not like I'm hungry and I eat enough and I'm good, I'm satisfied. No. When greed comes, they just feed this greed. Look at the people, right? In history, that greed took their lives and they died with greed. So that is the opposite of fulfillment. That is the opposite of qina'ah. Something that we don't talk and we're not exposed living in such societies. And it's so needed, subhanallah. It's so needed. When you talk to different people, most problems comes from greed. Or at least, let's say, amongst believers and Shias, the lack of qina'ah and contentment. A lot of problems between husband and wife, it's from qina'ah. I'm not happy with what I have. Since I'm not fulfilled and I'm not content with what I have, I always see the weaknesses. And I have this tendency. If I see the weaknesses, how can my child fix the problems that I sometimes try to teach him, teach her? Even if she, my teenage girl, she starts fixing, she starts behaving, let's say, but since I'm so not content, I'm not going to use the word of greedy because, you know, it has a negative feeling, so we becomes a little bit more, you know, defensive. But it is there, you know, we're not immune from this. And we're going to talk about this. It's almost like a tendency amongst everyone, I should say this. It's a tendency. Like ghafla, heedlessness. Heedlessness. It's part of us. We need to be reminded. وَكَانَ الْإِنسَانُ چی? What? Anyone? غَفُولًا. Quran. Indeed, human being is extremely ungrateful. A lot ungrateful. He forgets. That's what we do. And hirs is the same. And this is, I'm not just analyzing things here. I'm stating facts, things I'm hearing, I'm seeing amongst different families, you know, different countries. همه أقوام. همه أقوام. زن شوهر مشکل داره، برمیگردی میبینی که بله این قناعت نیست، رضایت نیست. و قرآن میگه نه، شما باید راضی باشید. مقام رضا. قرآن میگه باید غنا رو از درون انسان پیدا بکنه، جستجو بکنه، بی‌نیاز بشه. و انسان مؤمن حتی اگر نقصانی رو در همسرش دید میبخشه او رو، میگه خدای من قانعم. وقتی انسان بگه من خدای من قانعم، شروع میکنه خوبی های او همسرش رو دیدن. وقتی انسان تلاش نکنه قناعت بکنه، همش سختی های زندگیش رو میبینه. Right? If you don't see positive things, how can you improve? If all I see is negative and negativities, how can I improve? And obviously it's the opposite of shukr. Recite aloud, salawat, please. There's a lot to talk about this beautiful topic, honestly, and And this is again for the younger audience, and I consider myself young, right? And as the more you're younger, the more it is easier to build these beautiful tendencies and attitudes. And as you're getting older, it becomes difficult. Sometimes it becomes even difficult to point out what is the problem that I have, because I'm just so used to it. So think about this. The idea of that sense of fulfillment, that I'm in the presence of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You know, what does Iman mean? One of the meaning of Iman is safety, is protection, is peace, is tranquility. Because I trust in Allah, therefore I'm content. I do what I can do. I try to be like my Prophet, because he's my role model. I try my best. But whatever comes, I'm content with it. Because this is what he decided. Because what he wished for me. This beautiful feeling of fulfillment is absent in today's world. We don't have this. And it takes practice, right? It takes practice. So now, if you remember, and this is my last point, if you remember what I mentioned and I touched base on this, is that we have actually this tendency of being greedy. We always want more, don't we? Who can tell me that I don't want more? We all want more. Sometimes it's about money, sometimes it's about jobs, sometimes about social status, sometimes it's about power, sometimes it's about, I don't know, dignity, whatever. We always want more. So we have this tendency. And we have some negative tendency. You can do research on Quran, use the word وَكَانَ الْإِنسان, new, apps that you can search. وَكَانَ الْإِنسان. See, there is a list of negative tendencies that we have. Almost like by default. Almost. And that's why Quran, for each and every one of them, He's telling us do this instead. For this tendency, do this. For that tendency, do. For this specific, see how Prophet used to, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, used to treat this tendency. Recite a lot salawat, another please. So that's why we have a type of greed that it's actually good. It's actually encouraged to actually be greedy, as greedy as you can. Because you already have that tendency. If you have a tendency, if you have a gap, you have to fill the gap. If you have a tendency, you have to treat it. If you just leave it as it is, it will automatically go toward being greedy in things that it is not beneficial. And it's actually harmful. I'll give you one example and then go to this. We have another tendency that we compare each other. We can compare ourselves with others. If I see someone is driving so-and-so car, I want to buy that so-and-so car. And unfortunately, we teach this to our kids too. And it's so harmful, subhanallah. It's so harmful to families and also to ourselves, to us. Because each and every one of us, we're different. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created us differently. We have our own talents, we have our own skills. Why should I expect myself or my child to do the same as someone else? Maybe he's good, she's good in something else. Everyone is different. Everyone's path toward guidance even is different. Quran, sometimes he uses the word of subul. The ways toward Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is different. The fundamental is the same. Islam is the same. But the way in which people achieve Islam is different. The tests and trials are different. Expectations are different from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It's different. So we have this tendency, right, of competing. What Quran says, he says, فَاسْتَبِقُوا what? Anyone? Khayrat. You want to compete? Compete in goodness. Or سَابِقُوا إِلَى مَغْفِرَةٍ مِّن رَبِّكُمْ. Compete with each other. To achieve forgiveness of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. To be a better person. To taqwa. Oh, that brother, that sister is so good akhlaq. I want to be like him. I want to be like her. I want to be better than her. I want to be better than him. Instead of pushing it toward negative things, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is asking us, encouraging us to what? Direct it. Lead it toward goodness. The same goes here, greed. So 2 ayah I'm going to read. The first is about Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. We have at least 2 ayah on this. That Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam was so, and Quran uses this word, haris. Greedy. In what? In guidance of people. I never stop here. When you run a center, you should be greedy. It doesn't matter how many people are coming to your center. That ikhlas matters, right? Sincerity matters. But we should be always looking for more people to bring them under the flag of Abu Abdullah Imam al-Hussein alayhi salatu wasalam. We shouldn't say, oh, this is enough, let's just keep it the same way that we have. Let's just have it the same way that we used to have. Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam was haris. لَقَدْ جَاءَكُمْ رَسُولٌ مِّنْ أَنفُسِكُمْ عَزِيزٌ عَلَيْهِ مَا حَنِتُّمْ حَرِيصٌ عَلَيْكُمْ بِالْمُؤْمِنِينَ رَؤُوفٌ رَحِيمٌ. Subhanallah. I want to read it in Farsi and then translate it in English, perhaps for others. یقیناً قطعاً پیامبری رو فرستادیم که رنجها و سختیهای شما بر او سخته. وقتی شما سختی میکشی، حتی امروز برای پیامبر سخته، ناراحت میشه از رنجهای شما. او رحمت للعالمین دیگه، مهربانه، سخته برای او. و اصرار و حریص برای هدایت شما و نسبت به مؤمنان رؤوف و مهربانه. Indeed, we have sent a messenger to you, for you, from you. He's the same. He's a human being from your own people. عزيز عليه ما عنتم. He has affection. When you face difficulties, I'm paraphrasing it, right? When you face difficulties, he feels it. He feels affection. And حريص عليكم بالمؤمنين رؤوف رحيم. And when it comes to you and your guidance, he's haris. He doesn't stop. So, hirs, greed is good. And I want to ask here and challenge everyone here, how many times we see families in the US, as soon as they see their kids are doing I've seen this, their kids start doing something more than they ask in terms of religion. And sometimes not only they don't encourage the kid, but it's okay, you don't have to be this much, just chill, it's okay. Take it easy. No, Rasulullah, when it comes to guidance, he was greedy. When it comes to guidance, for my child, I have to be greedy for his guidance, for her guidance. And be like Rasulullah with patience, not harshness. He never was harsh. Don't be harsh on your kids. Go pray your salat. Namaz khondi ya na? No. Rasulullah wasn't like that. Sometimes you shouldn't even tell them, did you salat, pray salat or not? Sometimes you have to see, if I say this, how he's going to respond to this. Is he going to like it or not? Maybe I should not say it today. Maybe I should say it tomorrow instead. Right? If you poke and push someone, it will be difficult.